Out of 400 books, when it comes to manifestation, reality creation, these are the top 10 that I will reread for the rest of my life. Now, after studying this information for 8, going on to 9 years and reading hundreds of books on the topics of metaphysics, the esoteric, the occult, quantum mechanics, reality creation, whatever you want to call it, I have found 10 books in particular that have the most straight to it information, the most profound information, and the information that has had the most impact on my reality. Everything that you guys have seen me materialize, it is all down to these books in particular. These books are practical and they're straight to the point. Now, for the niggas that came here for some type of books on enlightenment and becoming your highest vibration and all this other shit, you're not gonna get that here. Spirituality without the ability to control your reality is nothing but vanity. And these books will put you in a position where you're actually in your desired reality. So if you're here for enlightenment, I'm sorry to disappoint you. Actually, I'm not sorry, but let's get into it. Now, before I actually give you these books, AJ says that this looks like a gun. Clearly this nigga's reading.
That's a switch.
Clearly he's reading, clearly. And I even gave him glasses. That's the first time you niggas have ever seen our guy with glasses over here. So you know he's locked in. But before I give you those books, there's a couple of points that I want to make very clear about these books in particular, and any book for that case, and how, well, let me just say you're gonna get some.
Imagine, how can someone say, Nero be spitting and I'm digesting? Yo.
Did they put a pause on that?
Yeah, they did. Well, it came in a reply comment.
So they forgot. They forgot. Yo, that's crazy. Bro, you're not digesting anything I'm spitting. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. All right, cool. So the point that I want to drive home in particular about books, and this can be extrapolated, and yes, you niggas say I always say that word, I definitely do. This can be extrapolated across all aspects of your reality. You're not actually going to be reading books. What you're going to be reading is your level of consciousness. And what I mean by that is this: we've all had an experience where we have read a book once and it's like you're reading fucking Shakespearean hieroglyphics. It makes no absolute sense. And this is something that I came to the conclusion of when I was reading the Kabbalion, which actually isn't a book that I'm going to be mentioning in this video, but I'll throw it out there because it's foundational. But the first time that you read a book, what you're going to realize is that there's certain things that aren't going to make sense. But if you come back to that book a couple of days later or a couple of weeks later, you're going to be able to extract things that you first didn't see, things that you might have missed, things that didn't click, but now they have clicked. And like I said, this can be extrapolated with anything. If you've been watching my videos for a while, if you go back and watch a previous video that you saw a couple of days ago or a couple of weeks ago, you're going to be able to take notes that you might not have seen in that video in particular. And yes, you niggas should still take notes down in this video, because even though I'm going to be giving you these books, I'm going to be breaking down my core concepts in these books and the things that have made the most impact, just so it's a bit more simpler. Now, like I said, with these books, these are going to be books that you continuously reread. I want to talk about something. Now, I can say that I've read over 400 books and I can show you my bookshelf, so on and so forth, and flex all these books like niggas do, but let's be honest, that's vanity. And there's a difference between depth and width. So I can say I've read 400 books, but let's be honest, I'm not retaining most of that information. Yes, I can talk 50 minutes off the top of my head on the topics of reality creation, so on and so forth, and anything remotely metaphysical, esoteric, or quantum mechanical. But looking back over these past 8 years that I've been studying this information, I actually wish that I just found these books much sooner and just continuously reread them. So that's one thing that I want you to come to the understanding of. Like, yeah, it's a flex, I've read hundreds of books, but let's be honest, it's not about that, that's vanity. It's our ability to go deep in these books, because the deeper you go in these books, the more you will be able to change your reality using the information in these books, because initially it's gonna be surface level. But couple of days go by, a couple of weeks go by, your level of consciousness would have shifted. So what you will be able to pick up in these books would have also shifted. Now, relax, you're gonna get some. I'm lost without you, can't help myself. How does it feel to know that I love you, baby? I'm lost without you. Can't help my... Also, somebody said that Nero's only 23 in reptilian years. That is probably the funniest thing I have read all year. No, I actually am 23, but not in reptilian years. Guys, please. Somebody actually was like, yo, you know that time we dropped the surprise drop video and then we dropped another one? Somebody was like, nah, they must have cloned Nero for 2 videos in a week to be coming out. Guys, I'm not a clone. I'm not a reptile. Please. I'm a real boy like Pinocchio. That's it. Okay. So, book number 1. And don't be like, oh, can you go back? Nigga, just when it comes, just pause your screen. Parallel Universes of Self by Frederick Dodson. Now, bear in mind, when I begin to work with the clients that hire me, being hired by 6 to 8 figure entrepreneurs, I always give them these books to read in particular. So just to say, if you're an entrepreneur who's stuck at a revenue ceiling in your business and you want to break out in 2 to 5 extra revenue in a couple of weeks, link in the description. So first things first, Parallel Universes of Self by Frederick Dodson. This book is probably one of the greatest books I've ever read on the topics of reality creation, because he cuts through the bullshit in a way that I do as well, very similar to that, and I appreciate that. So a core concept in this book that I'm going to be breaking down in this video in particular is parallel universes. Now we see the concept of parallel universes is a quantum physics concept, right? The idea that there are infinite amount of universes that exist. And it's always going to be infinite because it's outside our 3rd dimensional realm. Now, anything outside of our 3rd dimensional realm has no time-space constraints, meaning there is no limited amount. We are above illusions. Really and truly, this is where we begin to step and transcend illusions such as polarity in our 3rd dimensional realm. But being above, outside of our 3rd dimensional realm, it's infinite. So technically there's an infinite amount of parallel universes. And the way you can think about parallel universes is quite simple. For those of you who are real human beings and you're interested in Marvel, this is the concept known as the multiverse. It's the idea that there are universes side by side, taking place at the same time with different versions of you. And due to the fact that there's an infinite amount of universes, that means there's a version of you that is rich, there's a version of you that is poor, there's a version of you that is a CEO of $1 billion company, there's a version of you that is a chef, there's a version of you that is an OnlyFans model, there's a version of, what's funny?
I was literally thinking about that. Carry on.
Of course you were. Of course you were.
Okay.
Just relax.
I'm gonna get some.
Greedy boy. My point being, there's an infinite amount of versions of you. Quite literally, every single particular combination of reality that can exist, it exists within these parallel universes outside of our 3rd dimensional realm. Like I said, in Marvel, it's called the multiverse. You know, it's like Scarlet Witch in that particular film. That real niggas know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Of course you don't. Multiverses. The way that you can think about it is, think about it like a motorway or a highway, right? And this is one of the examples that Frederick Dodson gives in this book. It's the idea that there are lanes. Each universe is a separate lane side by side, simultaneously taking place. And every once in a while, if there's a shit driver or for whatever reason, a particular lane gets merged into another, we experience it in our reality. Think about the concept of deja vu. You feel like you have experienced it before, and it's because you have. Just not in this universe. But the thing about consciousness in particular is that consciousness in of itself, which is primarily what you are nothing more than a physical vessel, right? You're more than a physical vessel. And this is spoken about in the Bhagavad Gita at the start when Krishna is talking to Arjuna. And he's talking about, for those of you who are unfamiliar, the Bhagavad Gita, it's the book of Hinduism, or one of them. And essentially Krishna says to, the person that he's serving in this particular battle, he says the self cannot be destroyed. And he compares it to the fact that our consciousness wears clothes. And eventually when clothes are worn out, you abandon it and get new ones. That could be the example of what is considered reincarnation. But on the topic of consciousness in of itself, consciousness is outside of reality, right? And this is alluded to by Jesus in the Gospel of Thomas when he says, the kingdom of heaven is inside and outside of you. How big is your mind? You can't quantify the mind. You can quantify the brain, but you can't quantify the mind because the mind is all around and all within. And consciousness in of itself is above the illusions of reality. And because consciousness is above the illusions of reality, that means it has the ability to tap into this particular state of infinite. Hence why we will have these experiences, these really weird experiences where we feel like we've done this before, we've been here before, we've had this conversation before, or what's considered the Mandela effect, right? And that is nothing more than parallel universes beginning to merge. Now, what Frederick talks about in this book in particular is how you can shift into another universe. And think about it like this, reality, right? There's this false notion that you create your reality. And of course, I say this simplistically to speak your language, nigga, but if we're being honest, there's nothing for you to create. Because once you begin to transcend this third dimensional realm, every particular potentiality and every parallel universe already exists. It's almost like a TV. A TV comes with the channels already in it. You just need to select it. And that's what this book goes into. The process of altering your frequency to be able to tune into a new channel, which already exists, a new parallel universe that already exists. Whether that's the version of you that is rich, poor, a CEO, a chef, an OnlyFans model, whatever tickles your fancy in it. But that is Parallel Universes of Self. Very, very good book.
How can someone say, Diddy will find you if you keep saying no, Diddy?
Somebody was like, ain't no upload like a Nero upload. ain't no party like a Nero party. Guys, please, I'm not oiled up. I can't keep defending myself video after video. AJ, am I even oiled up today?
Slightly.
Slightly. Come on, you're a violator.
I've seen you reduce the amount of oil you use now.
You guys want me to be oiled up so bad. So AJ, you actually don't watch Marvel films?
I watch Spider-Man.
Not every Spider-Man film is Marvel, but sure. I get what you're saying. So no, you don't.
Yeah, I do. Watch it's called The Avengers. Yeah, watch that.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on.
Ooh. No, I actually do still. I'm waiting for the new one, you know.
The new what?
The new Avengers movie.
They're not even a thing anymore. See,
yeah,
you just talk.
They broke up, innit? They're separated, aren't they? Yeah, they're separated, right?
Bro, niggas got smoked. Tony Stark got packed.
Yeah, that's cool.
By who?
I remember still, they was in like a jungle or some shit and he was dying.
He literally died on the battlefield, but we're not even gonna do this. It's
bro.
It's all right.
The jungle can't be a battlefield. On to the next book.
Book number 2, The Complete Works of Florence Sheen. Now, this book in particular, Florence Sheen herself, an amazing woman, actually predates a lot of people in this particular reality creation space. She predates Neville Goddard by about 10, 15, or 20 years, one of those. And she is absolutely amazing. And this book is well, nigga, every book I'm giving you niggas is absolutely mandatory. It's actually so funny, innit? Because when I was broke, a nigga couldn't afford books. So I used to pirate and download PDFs, free audio books. I was rinsing it to the max. So if that's you, game is game. But definitely go get Florence Sheen, The Complete Works. I recommend just getting The Complete Works instead of a singular book because all her books are quite great. And a concept that I took from her in particular is actually amazing. And it's the idea that there's always dark before dawn. And what she means by that is this. So as you begin creating a particular condition of reality, as you as you start moving towards your desired reality, you're going to experience some resistance from the universe. And it's due to the fact that the universe likes what I call energetic equilibrium. An energetic equilibrium is nothing more than the notion that the universe likes balance. And because it likes balance, it has you calibrated at a particular level. And anytime you attempt to go outside of that level, it will, like a hammer, let me draw a hammer. Like a hammer, it will put you back in down. Which is the resistance that we begin to experience. What's funny?
Nah, the English was mad, but carry on.
What English?
Put you back in down. Carry on though.
Energetic equilibrium. The way that I want you to think about it is this. When she says the dark before the dawn, this is actually a very profound sentence, because let's say dawn is what we consider light. And in your instance, light can be conceptualized as your desired reality. Before you get to your desired reality, there will be a period where you begin to experience a degree of darkness. That darkness can be conceptualized as resistance, things going wrong, or things going left. Anything that opposes your particular condition of reality. And the easiest way for you to kind of keep this at the top of your mind is due to the fact that she's alluding to the fact that this is part of nature. Before the dawn is the dark. Before you're able to move into your desired reality, you are going to experience things getting worse, maybe, things looking like they're not changing. And you're gonna be like, what the fuck? Like, is anything actually changing? Is this stuff actually working? And this shows up in nature, and as you know, as above, so below. So it will be a fractal of your journey when it comes to materializing a reality. And going back to the point that I said, the universe likes a certain degree of convenience. It has you calibrated at a particular level. So let's say you're attempting to manifest a certain level of money. You're currently calibrated at a level that the universe is used to. And because it's used to you being there, when you attempt to move out, you are upsetting the balance of what the universe has you calibrated to. And because of that, it's going to do its absolute best to put you back in there. So you need to know how to navigate these resistances or these tests, however you want to conceptualize them. And I got a video on that. What's it called? Like, pass these 2 tests before it manifests. There's a video that I've made exactly explaining how you can pass these tests. But that's probably my favorite concept from Florence Sheen. So yeah.
I can't believe people thought I was serious when I said Kendrick should be cleaning Dave's shoes.
Nah, don't try to backtrack now.
I want you guys to leave me alone.
Don't try to backtrack now. Don't try to backtrack now, bro. Stand on it. Sit on it. Pause.
Whoa. Oh, and by the way, Thanos did it.
So you really just searched up who killed Tony Stark?
I watched it, bro.
Bro, come on, man. This is like 5-6 years ago, even.
I watched it, man.
What films do you even watch then?
Nigga, you don't even watch Interstellar.
It's the worst film ever.
You see, but they won't get onto you.
Because it's nonsense.
Because
you made that sound a bit too easy, man. How you know about them sounds, bro? Okay. Now, the next book. This Thing Called You by Ernest Holmes. You niggas really should have like paused it by now anyways. Ernest Holmes, one of my favorite authors. I do kind of like these authors that, you know, allude to the esoteric wisdom in the Bible. I really do like that, and he's one of them. Now, a core concept that I got from this book is the period before it manifests. By the way, guys, when this video drops, I don't want to hear nothing from you niggas. I've been constantly bombarded. What books do you recommend? What books do you recommend? It's been going on for like, what, 3-4 months? I've done it. Please, let me out the basement. Period before your desired reality manifests. Now, due to the fact that a lot of people have an incorrect definition of manifestation, in the period where your desired reality hasn't manifested yet, a lot of people begin to fall off. And I just want to reiterate, The true definition of manifestation, which is the definition I've come to after reading all these books and kind of synthesizing what they talk about, is manifestation is internally shifting to a degree to which you're no longer emotionally dependent upon seeing reality change. I repeat, manifestation is internally shifting to a degree to where you are no longer emotionally dependent upon seeing reality change. And if you have the wrong definition, then in the period where your desired reality hasn't come into play and you're waiting, this is a crucial period where a lot of people actually begin to mess up their manifestations. And one thing that Ernest Holmes talks about in that book, This Thing Called You, is about the state that you should be in before your reality changes, which is one of gratitude and enthusiasm. Now, enthusiasm is an interesting word because if you get into the Greek etymological origins of the word enthusiasm, it aligns with being possessed by the Spirit of God. That's what enthusiasm means. And the way that we can conceptualize that from a metaphysical standpoint, is nothing more than being in the alignment of the consciousness of God, or the most high frequency, being tuned into that frequency. And the reason why you need to have gratitude and enthusiasm before your reality changes is because Ernest Holmes alludes to the fact that this is what will water your desired reality into play, if we go with the concept that it's similar to planting. And farming and metaphysics is actually very much entwined, because if you think about it, you know, even though you haven't seen your reality change, that's no different from when the farmer puts a seed in the ground. He hasn't seen reality change, but he knows the seed has been planted into the ground. So with certainty, he awaits that particular condition of reality because he knows it's already done. It's the same thing with manifestation. You may not see your reality immediately change, but so long as you possess the same mentality and the certainty that the seed has been planted already, and then you water it with enthusiasm and gratitude, it's very powerful. And I want you to think about gratitude, and this is esoterically shown in the Bible. Now, there was a guy called Lazarus who died, and Jesus resurrected him from the dead. Now, before he had resurrected and come out the tomb, everybody was stood there. Jesus is like, I'm gonna bring this nigga back from the dead. Everybody stood there like, what? And Jesus does something very, very esoteric. Before Jesus saw Lazarus come out the tomb, he said to God, Father, I thank you, you have heard me, and you always hear me. Before anybody saw him, before anybody saw the miracle take place, before anybody saw reality change, Christ consciousness was already in a state of gratitude ahead of time before seeing reality change. Because that degree of gratitude is the truest indication of a true understanding in what it truly means to have reality change. And to have reality change isn't to see a physical change, it's to be vibrationally aligned to that reality changing, being in a state that suggests and indicates that that reality is already there. That's a bar, write that down. So you need to be grateful for your desired reality ahead of time, in the same way that Jesus was grateful for seeing Lazarus be resurrected from the dead ahead of time. And that's one thing that Ernest Holmes talks about in that book. He also talks about how to unify your human self with your God self, so on and so forth, to alter you into your desired reality. But yeah. I actually can't believe you actually don't watch Marvel. That's interesting. Do you watch DC though?
DC is kind of shit, to be honest.
You don't watch nothing to do with superheroes?
The only thing I like from DC is The Flash.
Okay, we're not doing this again. So you don't even watch superhero films? That's crazy.
Not really. Spider-Man, The Flash, Avengers.
Nigga pick the worst superheroes. You don't even know the Avengers. Who are the Avengers?
You know, there's Iron Man. Spider-Man joined.
Okay.
They finally let him in. You know.
Yeah. He didn't have the qualifications, but continue.
I'm sure Ant-Man's in there. Is he not? I'm sure he was involved.
He's not really an Avenger, but continue.
He was involved.
Thor, Hulk.
Hulk's involved.
Like even Hawkeye fan, but anyways.
Hulk's involved for real.
Yeah.
That nigga needs to retire, bro.
Nah, he doesn't. They killed Marvel fam. Obviously, you're not a Marvel fan, but real Marvel fans know what I'm on. They just killed it. They just like, they made Morbius, Madam Web. It's like, I don't even know what's going on, but let me not even go off on a tangent. Next book. Working with the Law by Raymond Hollywell. This book, I've probably reread this like 15 times. And whenever I read my books, guys, you can see, I don't know if you'll be able to see in the camera, but I always highlight and I always annotate it. My books look like a mad scientist, sorry. I literally look insane. Like if you looked in my books, you literally think, what the hell is going on with this nigga? But that's just the way that I go about reading books. Because when I'm reading, because I've read so much, I'm guessing my mind is like creating, you know, connections. But Working with the Law is one of my favorite books. One of my favorite books. And a core concept that I got from this book is when the author says working with the law, what he's talking about in specific is working with God. And what he says is that due to the fact that God, if you look at how religions have kind of characterized God from this almost personified entity that has, you know, these emotions and these temper tantrums and anger and so on and so forth, Raymond actually presents the idea that God in of itself is an impersonal energy. And it's an impersonal energy similar to electricity. Electricity will shock the nicest of niggas and the worst. It doesn't do a CRB check before it shocks you. It doesn't be like, is this person committed any crime? Zap. It doesn't work like that. And that's the way that Raymond Hollywell conceptualizes God, as a law, and a law that cannot be broken. In the Kabbalion, it talks about universal laws being immutable. It cannot be broken. And once you begin to see God as a law, certain things begin to make sense, such as scriptures such as Acts 10:34, which is God is no respecter of persons. It doesn't particularly matter what you do from a physical standpoint. God, or the energy of God, the electrical, whatever you want to conceptualize it as, the energy, the consciousness of God will shock you if you misuse it. And he conceptualizes our suffering as us breaking and being unaware of the laws, and our prosperity as aligning ourselves with those laws. And he actually gives, I believe, 11 laws. Non-resistance is one, compensation is another, sacrifice is another. Highly recommend getting that book. And he also, you know, if you begin to read the Bible again, every time you see the word Lord or God specifically, replace it with the word law and see what you're able to extract from there. Because it begins to make sense, such as scriptures such as Isaiah 45:7, where it says, I make the peace, I make the evil. I make the peace, I make the calm. I, the law, do all of these things. And this is all based upon our direction as human beings. Nah, there's nothing like being broken young. Got nothing but time, fam. I remember there was one year I must have read like 152 books on my iPhone 7. I mashed up that phone literally just reading.
I said 152.
It was a bit psychopathic, if I'm being honest. But hey, I'm slightly obsessed with this information, so what can I do? I'm just a chill guy. A book that you guys actually might be familiar with, Neville Goddard, The Complete Reader. Now, before the law of assumption cult niggas come for me, pause, don't even bother. I want you guys to understand something. Within this particular realm of information, people are going to begin to form groups, cliques, cults, so on and so forth. Don't get involved in any of those games. Don't be the law of assumption, don't be the law of attraction, be the law of whatever fucking works. Because nobody gave a particular scientific exact method for this, especially when you understand that there are no truths in reality other than what the subconscious mind accepts as true. And more often than not, due to the fact that you believe this is the only emotional conviction that activates it actually working, not because it actually works. Reality is a placebo in of itself. But if I show you, this book, I've had it for years, and this book is literally in tatters. I'm sure you can even see it, like the plastic is coming off. It literally looks mashed up. But this book in of itself, I think the part that stands out to me the most in this book is probably, what would I have to choose? Probably the notion of this. So, we often come to this idea that when you get your desired reality, and that's not Dominican Republic for the horny niggas, that's desired reality, you will feel differently. You will be a different internal state, internal pertaining to mental, emotional, spiritual. You think, and this can be extrapolated to whatever it is you want in reality, and I made a video about this called How to Let Go and Manifest Instantly or some shit like that. This is the realization with which this book essentially, if you was to really break it down to its fundamentals, is alluding to. And this is the idea, and in this book it's called the law of reversibility. I don't remember which specific book inside the book it is, but the law is called the law of reversibility, right? The idea that if mechanical motion can produce heat, then heat can produce mechanical motion. And this extends to the realm of metaphysics, especially when we talk about desired reality, because your desired reality is nothing more than a frequency. You can conceptualize a frequency as a product code. When you order something, a product code is matched up in the warehouse and then it's distributed to you. It's the same thing. The only reason you ever want anything in reality, whether it's to manifest more money, a partner, a particular career opportunity, any advancement in life, the only reason, and this can even be broken down to the simplest of things. I ordered some new pens. They're terrible, by the way, guys. I tried to, do all this sexy flexy stuff for you niggas and it's just terrible. Like the colors are absolutely abysmal. So I'm sticking to what I've got. But the only reason we'll ever want anything in reality is due to the unconscious awareness that we will feel differently in a way that we don't currently feel. The only reason you might want a burger, sorry spiritual niggas, let's say an alkaline burger or some shit. The only reason you ever want a burger, a milkshake, fries, I'm choosing the worst of foods, mac and cheese. I know the spiritual niggas are shaking. The only reason you ever want anything, whether food, clothes, a book, a pen, even a toothpick, is because you inherently know that when I get that, that will allow me to do something or have something that will make me feel a way that I don't currently feel. I repeat, the only reason you ever want anything in life is because attaining it will give you a feeling that you don't currently have. And in that particular book, especially with the law of reversibility, a deep understanding has to be made here. And that is the idea that your desired reality is nothing more than a middleman. And you can cut out that middleman and jump straight to the state of consciousness that you want. That security that you'd feel upon having more money, that freedom you'd feel, you can have it now. Feeling cherished or loved in that particular person you might want, you can feel that now. Feeling privileged and appreciated in that particular career opportunity, you can have that now. You can cut out the middleman and jump straight to the particular internal state because you possess everything you will ever need to materialize any condition of reality within you already. The kingdom of heaven is already within you, Luke 17:21. And ironically, once you cut out the middleman and jump straight to the internal state that indicates to reality that you have it, and this can be conceptualized as being the vibrational alignment. Remember my definition, manifestation is internally shifting to a degree to which you're no longer emotionally dependent upon seeing reality change. Ironically, once you enter that state now, you will tap into the frequency of that state, and it will be the frequency of that state that actually produces your desired reality. Because the law of reversibility. If feeling in your desired reality will produce you, if being in your desired reality will lead to you feeling differently, then supposedly you feeling differently should lead to your desired reality, the law of reversibility. Your desired reality is nothing more than a middleman that you can just cut out. And what you actually believe is the destination, how you feel when you get there, is actually how you need to feel to get there. That's a bar that down. Your destination is actually the starting location. And among other things, because I've reread this book a psychopathic amount of times, entirely, each and every one of the books inside this book, you'll see the rest for yourself.
You know what's so crazy? I've seen this comment, someone goes, Nero, I love you, my brother, but we got to pull you up on some of your musical taste. Now.
Me?
Now.
On my musical taste?
I'm not sure I'm allowed to say this word, so I'm gonna skip it out.
And not you.
He goes, now I'm just in my 40s, but Asco, seriously? You need to go back in time and listen to the real bangers. Check out Lil Wayne's So Dedicated featuring Birdman.
Now that's a great tune, but two completely different realms. I thought he was gonna give like a UK tune.
Same.
Guys, Lil Wayne's hard. Pause. I got no doubt in my mind about that. I'll rap Mona Lisa bar for bar, like the entire way through. Man said my music taste. Me.
Yeah, it is a bit sketchy.
I'm taking that personally.
It is a bit sketchy.
Tell me that nigga's name, ban him from our channel. Wow. Somebody came for me. Pause.
It's about time.
To be fair, everybody's coming for you. Pause again.
Yeah, pause on that. It's a lot of comment going on.
Jesus. Next book. Ooh. This book in particular. By the way, guys, most of these books that I'm actually giving you, nigga, if you're broke like I was, then just go down the videos. Or literally just get the audiobook versions on YouTube. Just type in the book, type in audiobook. It is what it is, man. I bought all the books back when I got money. So, hey. Next book. You can get what you want if you find it within yourself. Robert A. Russell. This book, just from the title alone, by the way, if any of you, if there's one person who has read every single one of these books, I will reveal my true reptilian self to the world. I will unmask myself on camera for you guys, but I doubt that. Not every one of these, there's no ways. Because some of these books, when I found them, they had 2 reviews on Amazon, fam. There's no ways. But anyways, you can get what you want if you find it within yourself by Robert A. Russell. I absolutely love this book. Amazing author, very low-key author too. He's got another book called Prosperity, which I don't particularly like that much, but this one, whew. And this book, I'll break down the title alone. I don't even need to go into the book because the title's a bar in of itself. You can get what you want if you find it within yourself. Now, he cooked with this title. This is what I conceptualize to you guys as the annoying law of the universe, which is the idea that you can only have what you already have. And when he says you can get what you want if you find it within yourself, the last part of that particular title is the most important part. A lot of people in this particular manifestation industry have kind of given you an incorrect definition on what manifestation is. Their definition of manifestation is changing reality, bending reality with your thoughts, getting into a high frequency and all of this other nonsense. Manifestation in and of itself should be centered entirely around you. It's not about changing anything outside of you. It's more so about centralizing all your attention to within you. Because every particular condition of reality that you want, your desired reality, it exists within you. But when he says find it within yourself, he's not talking about finding the state physically and materially. He's talking about finding it vibrationally. And vibrationally is to become it mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Once you can do that by creating that state within you already, so entering the frequency of that state, then you can have what you want in your reality. But I would argue with him and say you can't have anything you want because wanting is an indication that you don't have. And unfortunately, you can only have what you already have. But that's the premise of this entire book. And it really gets you to restructure your perspective on manifestation being something external and getting you to come to the understanding of what Jesus was alluding to in Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom and righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Seek first the kingdom of heaven, which Luke 17:21 says the kingdom of heaven is within you. So seek first what you want within you. So before you want the world to give you anything, give it to yourself first. And how do you give it to yourself? You give it to yourself by becoming it mentally. Think from the position of the attainment of that desired reality. And I was talking to a client about this and they were telling me that they have a goal. I was like, what the fuck you have a goal for? And they were like, what? I said, you don't have a goal. You shouldn't have a goal because a goal is something that you look at. You need to be looking from the position of your goal already. So you shouldn't have a goal. You should be your goal, which is what this book is alluding to. And that's how I write that down, because the idea that the world is going to give you something before you've given it to yourself. It just doesn't work like that. It's on earth as it is in heaven, as within, as without. Seek first the kingdom and then righteousness, and all these things, your desired reality, will be added onto you, because you need to come to the understanding that every particular condition of reality that you want is something you already have. Go back to the example that I gave on Frederick Dodson in Parallel Universes of Self. A TV comes with all the channels already in it. You already have it within you. You just need to change your frequency to then experience a different channel, which is what we call reality. So that book is amazing. And another thing I'd like to make is that a lot of people, especially those spiritual people, actually don't want your evolution. What I mean by that is this. I don't want you niggas to listen to everything that I say. I actually would really hate that, because I could be the worst nigga alive. Could get you into my basement. I could chop you up and eat you. You don't know people. Like, and what I truly want for you is a particular degree of intellectual independence. Hence why I'm not gatekeeping this information. Hell, if you went on my Instagram, you might have some of these books already, but I'm giving this to you so you don't become reliant on every single thing that I say, because there's no difference between me or you, literally no difference. Our only difference is our physical expression. Other than that, internally, we are the same consciousness. In one of my other favorite books, which I haven't given in this, 3 Magic Words, the author, U.L.S. Anderson, says something to the effect of, every bridge was built by the same person, every instrument is played by the same person, every film is made by the same person. And what he means is that we are one consciousness, simply expressed differently across different physical expressions, so on and so forth. So that's why I'm giving you these books. I don't want to be gatekeeping information. That's not what I'm on. I'd rather you come to the conclusions of these things yourself, because this ain't a cult. Yes, niggas make jokes it's a cult, but it's not. Because if I say something that you don't particularly agree with, then don't just disagree with me for the sake of disagreeing. Go test it, then see, and if you come to your own conclusion, that's perfect, and that's all I'd ever want. Because all I want is for you to be in your desired reality, not for me to put you in my basement. Okay. The Rosicrucian Handbooks and Hermetic Textbook of Success Secrets. The Rosicrucians are a secret society which are of the Rosy Cross, Rosencreutz, so on and so forth. And this book in particular, I remember I came across this book and it was just like, wow. This book is essentially practically every book on reality creation that you could ever imagine synthesized. And the Hermetic part means that it derives from the Hermetic tradition, the Kabbalion, so on and so forth. A lot of the principles in this book are derived from that. Now, in this book, I'm not sure which part's actually my favorite. Actually, yes, I do. The part of this book that I love, and it's always stood out to me, and like I said, I've reread these books over the past couple of weeks so I could really understand if they were worth giving to you guys. So I hope you do appreciate that, by the way. But a part of this book that I love the most, right, is this concept right here. All in my world is perfect. Now, I remember when I first read this, I was like, what? All in my world is perfect? How the fuck does that make sense? The world isn't perfect. I got debt collectors sending me letters. This ain't that good. Now, this line in particular, the more I kind of let it marinate, which is one thing I want you guys to understand, please, don't read like you're horny for the information. Because if you do that, you're just gonna flick through it. You're literally just gonna run through it. Read like a monk. Let one line marinate and really let it in. Like that person said, let them spit and you digest.
That's insane.
Pause. But this concept of all in my world is perfect, comes from an understanding that as human beings, it will never make sense. And so long as you look at this particular line through the lens of a human being, it's not going to make any sense. Because here's the thing. The world that we live in is what we characterize as imperfect, but we need to understand something. The only reason we see the world as imperfect is due to the fact that we see reality through our eyes instead of our mind. What I mean by that is this: our degree of imperfection in reality comes from the fact that we see 0.0035% of reality. We see a small fraction of reality, and because we don't see the entirety of reality, we see reality through a limited point of view. Another way of saying limited is an illusion. An illusion is anything that doesn't appear the way that it is. In essence, it's a trap. And so long as you view reality through the lens of being trapped, then what you're going to experience in reality is going to be reflective of you being trapped in a particular condition of reality. The only reason we don't see our world perfect is because we are operating from a human instead of our God selves. And what I mean by that is this: if you go to Matthew 19:26, I believe, Jesus says, with men this is impossible, but with God all things are impossible. With men this is impossible. So our suffering in reality comes from the fact that we are seeing reality through a fraction of what actually exists, and we are allowing that to determine everything. And if you go to the start of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says something amazing. He says, the wise are not deluded by materiality. Due to the fact that our reality is a small fraction of what actually exists, a lot of people give that reality a degree of power internally over them, putting them in a trap, being reflective of being trapped due to the fact that they're operating from their human self and seeing reality through eyesight instead of God's sight or mind sight. So all in your world is perfect, because as we transcend out this third dimensional realm, there is no separation. What we call polarity doesn't exist. So everything is perfect, but our imperfection in what we see comes from our imperfection in our lens that we're looking through reality, because we're seeing reality through separation, and that particular illusion is always going to be reflected into our reality. And that's one line in this book. That book is amazing, so go for it. Late night watching television, but how'd we get in this position? It's way too soon, I know this isn't love. Somebody commented Nero is the UK's best kept secret. I really do appreciate that. They were asking me why we don't link up with the other influencers. I'm not on that, I'll say that. But AJ will probably get onto me for that.
For what?
Not wanting to mix with influencers.
Oh. It's funny. Someone just commented as well, saying about why hate on influencers.
Who, me?
Yeah.
It's not particularly that I dislike influencers. I dislike the archetype of what influencers represent, which is nothing more than hyper-consumerism, materiality, and living a life that they don't actually live. I have nothing to prove to you niggas. I really couldn't care, to be honest, how much money you think I have or anything along those lines. Nobody that I want to be respected from is going to be entertained by the things that influencers use to manipulate their perception on people. I'd want to be rated by people because of my mind and the things that I say, not what I have or how I look. And because of that, that is why I'm not a fan of influencers. I think a lot of influencers in of themselves actually influence people, but who am I to say what's right or wrong? Right or wrong is nothing more than our third dimensional preconceived notion based upon polarity anyway. So, and all of these so-called influencers, them niggas always either turn to fucking boxers or musicians. So if you niggas ever see me either boxing or being a musician, just know it's rough out here, man. But you're not gonna see me do them things. That's not what I'm here to do. Like, I'm not here to entertain. I actually believe that the celebrities of the old world were niggas that could entertain you. And I believe as the consciousness of the world continues to rise, the new ones will be people that can educate you. So, ooh. The Science of Being by Eugene Fersen. Eugene Fersen was actually studied by Tesla, Gandhi, Charles F. Hannell, who wrote the Master Key System, who was a 32nd degree, I believe. And he is like the OG of OGs. Like Eugene Ferguson is the OG of OGs. And in this book, The Science of Being, it is quite literally the science of being. Now, on there, it says, know thyself and thou shalt know all. He is probably one of the earliest writers of any metaphysical text. And I don't mean this, we're going back centuries. I mean this within the last couple of 100 years. And he, different levels. And the concept of this book that I've began to understand can be summarized as this: all our suffering in reality comes from us being misaligned to God. Misaligned to God in a way that Raymond Hollywell actually alluded to the fact that God is some type of energy, some type of consciousness. And so long as we have the ability to align ourselves with God, we won't suffer. We will experience what is considered prosperity. And what he talks about is that all the particular spiritual individuals that we revere, such as Christ, such as Krishna, such as Buddha, they all came to the understanding that they were one with God. And that oneness with God was nothing more than a mental plane, because there's 3 planes of existence: mental, physical, spiritual. Mental plane connection that they first made in order to dictate themselves as being one with God. They mentally saw themselves as one with God, and because of that, they were able to align themselves with the energy of God, allowing themselves to perform what we call miracles, which is nothing more than the acts of being entirely in the God frequency, God consciousness. He was amazing. So highly recommend his book. Let me speed this up because AJ's camera looks like it's overheated.
That camera is hot as hell, boy. I actually ordered that book today as well.
Which one? The Science of Being?
Yeah.
Swear down.
Yeah. You kept mentioning it.
Bro, it's mine. You can take it, bro.
Too late.
Pause. Anyways.
Yeah, pause on that.
Can't be telling a man that he can take it, man.
What's that video you sent me? Throw it, I'll catch it.
That was hilarious. You tell a man to take it, fam. End up with a man like Fleece Johnson, fam.
Oh, no.
I'll tell you right here, I like you and I want you. Now we can do this the easy way or the hard way. The choice is yours. Okay. Final 2 books. Process of Realization by Ivan Antic. This author is amazing. I've got his other book, which actually kind of aligns with the Rosicrucian book. It's called Everything is Perfect, so I recommend that one. But for the topic of reality creation, manifestation in the most simplest way, the process of realization. I actually forgot to say Merry Christmas, niggas, because this should come out before Christmas, you know? Yeah, Merry Christmas, niggas. The Process of Realization by Ivan Antic. Love this author. He goes into manifestation across the 3 planes of existence. And one quote that I always say I actually got from him, which is the idea that all successful manifestation requires alignment across all 3 planes of existence. That is something that I got straight from Ivan Antic, which is something that in the spiritual community, niggas don't seem to understand. The spiritual niggas will think to themselves, I'm just gonna let it come to me, and do absolutely nothing. And then the religious niggas will be like, God, please, 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 please. And then the people that work hard will be busting ass, working hard as hard as they can. But all 3 of them are all dwelling in the same ignorance, which is the idea of only using 1 plane of existence. You should actually synchronize all 3 planes of existence to make sure that you're correctly utilizing the mental plane, the physical plane, and the spiritual plane, and ticking off each one of those, because once you do that, you're in perfect harmony with the triune nature of reality. Take to the concept of God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, mind, body, soul, mental plane, physical, spiritual plane. It's the exact same thing across many different cultures. So that is absolutely fundamental. Now, for my favorite book by my favorite author and my favorite philosopher, you know, I love this guy, and he was writing in like the 1900s, 1800s. And I remember I was reading, and he must have said something like, when I read this, I was in shock. He was like, you know, dropping game. Then he put, don't be niggardly. I was like, huh? But then I remembered, dude is from like the 1800s, innit? I was like, damn, bro. Why you gotta do me like that, James? Which is my favorite philosopher. And for this book, I don't recommend you actually get this book physically, Because when you see this, you're going to be like, what the hell? I recommend you just get the audiobook version of this. And that is James Allen, The Complete Treasury.
That audiobook 50 hours long, bro.
The audiobook is like 48 hours. I've read it about 3 times. Just to give you an idea of this book. This book is, yeah. Now, essentially what James Allen goes, and there's probably like 10 books in here. Essentially what James Allen goes into is the prerequisites to manifestation, which is before you have mastery over reality, you need to have mastery over yourself. And that's what he goes through in this book. And one of my favorite quotes from this book is, man is unsatisfied with his reality, but he is satisfied with himself. That doesn't make any fucking sense, because whatever you are is exactly what your reality is going to be. I repeat, whatever your reality is exactly who you are. And over the course of whether 48 hours or 800 pages, he goes through the process of actually beginning to master yourself in harmony by utilizing various traditions, Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, even Islam. So it's absolutely amazing. And James Allen is probably my favorite. Like I'll go on walks and I'll just be listening to him. Like he's really, really good. But other than that, should have done 10 books in it. That's like 10 books. Yeah, don't you niggas ask me for books again. You have more than enough. But I will end it by saying this. The best book that I believe you can actually read is the previous chapters of your life. And that's a bar that down. Because before you attempt to take information from any one of these individuals, you actually need to be able to analyze your past, because that's going to be the blueprint of what actually exists. Memories don't die. Memories actually go forward and alter your reality to some degree. Your subconscious mind doesn't adhere to the concept of past. So everything that's happened to you in the past isn't something that's just there and it doesn't exist anymore. It's actually being played silently in the back of your mind without you even realizing. So before you go to read these other books, make sure you know yourself. And Eugene Fersen on the front cover of The Science of Being says, know thyself and thou shalt know all, which is the ancient Greek proverb, which actually comes from ancient Egypt, but we won't get into that. Other than that, Merry Christmas, niggas.